What's poppin', everybody? This is the cartoon kid, Ray Rawlins, and we're continuing bringing in the new year with our first modern SpongeBob review of the year 2020. And today, we're reviewing an episode from season 11 called Cuddle E Hugs. Now, before we get into this one, man, Mr. Alex Payne, you're here to give us that episode breakdown. So break it all down for us. What happens?
Not exactly sure how to describe this episode, so I'm just going to go with the easiest way I think I could. Basically, when they're cleaning the Krusty Krab, Squidward finds an old, moldy Krabby Patty, and SpongeBob eats a piece of it and starts hallucinating a big, giant hamster named Cuddle E Hugs. And he just, they hang out and they become best friends and everything. He eventually influences SpongeBob to make everyone eat a piece of the Krabby Patty, and everyone sees him. So that's the best I could do to describe this episode.
Well, I'm gonna toss in there that once everyone sees them, they're all in the Krusty Krab. He basically convinces everybody to come and give him a hug, and then he swallows everybody and just eats them, man. I gotta ask you this before we even go further. Do you say this feels like a old episode of SpongeBob or a new episode of SpongeBob? What do you think?
I don't know what to say this was.
Okay.
In general.
Well, in general, I say good, bad, or neutral. How do you feel?
No, I think I will say I think it was an enjoyable episode, but this episode was just insanity to me. And not in the chaotic way. It's like even the music for Cuddly Hugs just sounds like absolutely insane.
Yeah, I mean,
in a low key way, not like banging your skull against the window, like sitting in the corner type of way.
I didn't like his music, if I'm being honest. I really didn't like his music, but I'm kind of in the same boat as you are. Like this episode, I wouldn't say it's bad. It's definitely not bad. It's okay. It's not great. It's not bad. It's okay. But with all that being said, let's get into moments. What are some of your standout moments in this episode?
See, it's funny because I will say I did enjoy this episode a lot. But
okay.
I wouldn't say I really had any... I don't know if I could say I had any real standout moments. I think a lot of the moments when they was like the weird hugs and shit like that. I don't know,
yeah.
Just like the way they were
kind of weird.
And all that shit.
But it's SpongeBob. It's SpongeBob. SpongeBob's supposed to be a lovable character and whatnot.
That's what I call a hug.
So, of course, he's going to hug anybody. And you just see this big ass... I thought he was like a bear at first. I'm not even going to lie to you with that big old stomach. And then you see SpongeBob. SpongeBob's like, whoa, you're furry and big and da-da-da, woo-woo, in his little childish personality.
So you get lost in his fuzz.
Yeah, yeah.
That reminds me of the Furridge.
Shout out to Courage the Cowardly Dog, our pink homie. But, SpongeBob goes to give him a hug and whatnot. And it just, I don't know, it looks cheesy and corny, but it's a kid's cartoon, man. So what can you expect? I do gotta say one of my favorite moments in this episode. I don't know why. I just love it. Because I've seen this like maybe 3 times. I kind of knew you would somewhat like this episode. But when I saw it the first time, I was indifferent on it. But when, I was going to say Courage, when Cuddle went up to SpongeBob's bed to go lay down and whatnot, he's like, we can share it. And this dude just basically jumps his big booty up in the air. And go, boom! Just straight breaks his bed, yo.
Looks like your friend Cuddly Hugs needs to lay off the snacks.
Man, if I was SpongeBob, I would have been pissed. I'm like, yo, you broke my bed, bro. So, and Cuddle E Hugs was like, oh man, I think I need to lay off the snacks. I'm like, no shit, look at you. You basically fucked my whole bed up, man. So SpongeBob ends up jumping on his belly and taking a nice old good night's slumber on his big old belly. I gotta say that's one of my favorite moments throughout this whole episode, simply because it makes me laugh. You can't forget the whole moment where he's walking around town with the big old hamster, and he's trying to introduce him to everybody, but nobody can see him, so everybody thinks he's an imaginary friend. And obviously he runs into Patrick. Patrick over here is like, oh man, I want to be your best friend. I thought I was your best friend. And he wants to be SpongeBob's best friend. I really feel like that was a quote from an episode somewhere. Your best friend. That is. I don't remember what it is though. But basically, Patrick's.
I will say it sounds familiar.
It does, don't it? But like he was basically fighting the air. I think he's fighting Cuddly and whatnot. And the whole time Cuddly Hugs is right behind him. So Patrick's swinging that air, going freaking ballistic.
Give me his love!
And you can't forget another moment when they're in the Krusty Krab and Hugs basically eats them all up. And then he basically disappears. And they're all just all out, sprawled out in the middle of the floor and whatnot, all huddled up in a sense. And Patrick's like, man, your best friend ate us. And then I forgot exactly what he says. That shit was hilarious to me how he said it, though. I'm going to insert a clip of it in here, but I forgot exactly how he said it. He was like, yeah, Grumble.
Well, your friend ate me is what happened. Not cool! Yeah, Grumble!
He just walks off all mad as hell and whatnot. But that's another one of my favorite moments. I'm trying to... Oh, that's how it ends. Basically, SpongeBob throws a Krabby Patty in his mouth, and then he realizes he's inside of another, furry hamster and whatnot. But overall, you have any other moments in this?
No,
Before we continue on?
I think that, because like I said, I enjoyed this episode, but I wouldn't say like I could really point at any particular moments that stood out. You pretty much got all of them that I would have mentioned.
Okay, now let's get on to positives and negatives. Do you have a positive and or a negative about this episode?
I will say positives. I think that you might not have liked it, but I kind of liked the weird and I guess in psychedelic music that the friggin' hamster had.
Right.
And I just like how he had this kind of like, I don't know how to I don't know how to describe what his voice sounded like to me. Like it sounded kind of like Italian mobbish. Like that's
hell no.
Not like the full on gangster like the Easter Bunny from friggin'
somewhat chill and jolly like voice. That's what he got. Like he's kind of laid back and he's loving.
But it sounds like a dangerous type of jolly. That's what I mean.
I don't know about that.
Like it sounded kind of thing to me.
Okay, you got any negatives?
Negatives. I was what would I say is negatives about this episode? I think that the ending was kind of, I don't know. I don't know how I like how it ended, because yeah, it was this weird Inception type of ending, but I don't know. I just didn't think that they.
Okay.
Because why would, if he's imaginary, why would the Krabby Patty
he be in another right? And that's a good point too, right there. Positives. I like that this is very comedy centered. Like I'm a big sucker for comedy and cartoons. Like if you have comedy driving it, so and I wouldn't say it's necessarily comedy centered, but the jokes in it are like, I would say they're enjoyable, they're funny. Everybody can get a laugh at them, adults as well as kids. So I like the nice jokes in this episode. I would even argue, and I know we got into this 1,000 times, the whole Patrick scene. Would you say that's new Patrick or old Patrick?
I would say it was closer to old Patrick than new.
Yeah, right. Okay. Because see, and this is the main reason why I want to do this episode, because like I really feel like this is a nice old SpongeBob episode, if that makes sense. Like, because I want to say, it feels like a classic episode of SpongeBob. It somewhat does, but it has a little bit of the new flavoring on it, if that makes sense. Like, I say it's in the middle of like season 4 or whatnot. It's not terrible.
Yeah.
It's not great. It's somewhat classic. It has a little classic feeling in it, but it just has that little flavor of newness on it. And it's kind of like, That's me describing my feelings on it. I don't know.
It's funny because I don't know. I feel like this episode was some weird amalgamation of friggin' of the episode with the old patty that Mr. Krabs ate and died.
Yeah, right. I thought that too because it felt like they did this, the whole old Patty thing several times. Because I
Yeah,
thought of that too, and I'm like, isn't there another time where
to
they?
love
Oh
a
no, they
to
did.
love a patty when
Yeah,
he was
yeah. When
dating the
SpongeBob
patty.
fell in love with it. Yeah, yeah. That's kind of weird, man. They're painting old moly sandwiches in a good light. But if you
I
go ahead.
want to say you could maybe argue the connection with this and like in terms of the invisible guy with friggin' the episode when he went crazy and was seeing Krabby Patties every year, but I think that might be a bit of a stretch.
No, no, I don't think you can. You definitely can't, because that was because of exhaustion. I would say, if you
Yeah.
were thinking about the same episode, Fear of a
No,
Krabby
yeah,
Patty.
yeah, fair enough for Krabby Patty. Yeah, that's the one I mean.
Okay, but let's get into ratings and reviews here. I'll go first. So we're gonna bust out that rating scale: 2.5 for story, characterization, enjoyability, and production. Story wise, or you know what? I'll start with characters rather. Let's do that. We're gonna start with characters. SpongeBob, obviously being the main protagonist in this storyline here. To me, he has his childish personality, yeah, but I don't know. He felt like a little bit more classic SpongeBob. Like he is childish. That's one of his main qualities, obviously. That even from season 1. However, he didn't feel too, stupid with it. If that makes sense. It didn't feel
Yeah,
like he had the whole Patrick portrayal. Like, oh, he's a child and he's dumb as hell. He's a child, yeah, and he's naive in a sense. And I can't blame him in this sense because Cuddle E Hugs did not seem dangerous at first. Now, when they're both up in the kitchen, he's doing that evil ass laugh.
Excellent, SpongeBob. Okay, let's go.
It's like, is the whole courage effect where like, oh man, Mirio, you didn't hear the crazy people, you didn't hear how they sounded on the phone. You really want to buy this mattress from them? So it's just like, okay, I can see why SpongeBob was naive to this dude at first and whatnot. He didn't seem dumb. He honestly thought he existed because, he could see him. Obviously, us being the viewers, we can see him. And all the other people, they can't see him. So it's cool how they passed that off as his imaginary friend. And, that felt pretty solid how they was like, oh, you got to eat the Krabby Patty, to see him. Which they made that happen in a nice fluid way, like SpongeBob serving up free Krabby Patties to everybody, and they're all obviously tasting them and whatnot. They look nasty as hell, but everybody's eating them. So, character-wise, SpongeBob, I feel he's close to what he can be in the new era. Obviously, closest that he can be to his oldest self. Patrick, you can even argue too. It's just like when he sees the whole scene with SpongeBob talking to Cuddle E Hugs, he's like, "Oh man, I want to be your best friend." And, he basically starts fighting him for SpongeBob's love and affection. Sandy, I just got to mention her.
Man.
I was going to start singing this. I really was going to start singing this song. Mr. Krabs, you gotta mention with him basically freaking hopping up out of there. And this, I guess you could say, is a moment of mine, too, that I'll continue on. Like, SpongeBob, what are you doing serving free food? He's just hollering at him. The patty just flies down his throat. So it's just like... I gotta say, obviously, Mr. Krabs was on point too. So character-wise, I'm gonna give it a nice solid 2. Nice solid 2. Story-wise, like you said, everything it's pretty good story-wise, pretty solid. But like you said, that ending though, the build-up was fine. Like obviously how Cuddle E Hugs was created and whatnot from the tainted Krabby Patty or the poison Krabby Patty rather, how he got caught. Put into play was pretty solid how they kept them up and whatnot. So the ending is kind of meh. Like what really happens with them, like you said, it's an inception, a dream within a dream, if you want to call it that. I'm going to give the story though a nice solid 1.5. Okay. They could have had a way better ending for that. I wish they had like something different. Like maybe we could have got a good response of why he did that. Like what's Cuddle E Hugs' main point? Like, why is he there for? It's just to eat everybody? I mean, yeah, that's what he said it's for, but it really don't make sense, So I'm going to give that a nice 1.5, bringing my rating up to 3.5. Let's go on to enjoyability, though. I do have to say this episode, I enjoyed it a hell of a lot. I really did. I enjoyed it way more than I enjoy most modern SpongeBob episodes. Characters, like I said, on point. All that just goes into one with enjoyability. Comedy, the jokes were good. Like I said, the whole moment where Cuddle E Hugs basically crushes SpongeBob's bed. It's like, nice, good, funny joke there. It's like, man, get your big ass up. Why are you crushing my shit? So I'm going to give enjoyability a nice 2. Bring my rating up to a 2.5. And then production-wise, got to mention, like, the main thing that stood out to me is, like, when everybody ate that Krabby Patty, they turned this sickly green colors. And you can really notice it on SpongeBob, too. I just like this big, gigantic hamster, man, just walking around Bikini Bottom. Nobody noticed it, obviously, because he's imaginary. Seeing him freaking squeeze and break through SpongeBob's door, crushing SpongeBob's bed again. I got to mention that again, obviously. But the main thing you notice is, like, the whole freaking sickly greenish color. I like how they did that, man. And even at the beginning with the whole garbage scene at the Krusty Krab, it makes you think, man, you think the Splinter episode's disgusting. I don't know why. I just got real grossed out once I seen all that garbage and Patrick hopping out of it and the moldy-ass Krabby Patty. So, production-wise, I'll give it a nice solid 1.5, bringing my rating up to a solid 7. What about you?
I think, okay, so characterization. I thought Cuddle E Hugs was a very interesting character, like the way he was portrayed and everything. And I think SpongeBob was pretty normal for modern SpongeBob, but he wasn't too stupid, like you said, but he still had that a little bit over it. But you could always argue that, listen, obviously the point of this episode is they on drugs pretty much and hallucinating. So you could probably put it on to that as well. So that's the main things people I'm going to focus on in this. So I think I'm going to give the characterization a 2. The story, I like that they pretty much didn't really have any filler. Like the episodes, because when it first started, I was like, because I was wondering, because they always do this 9-hour, 3 minutes and a half
intro
beginning part that ain't got nothing to do with anything. But I would say probably before the first minute was even over, they already had the moldy Krabby Patty out. So.
But it all flew together. It was fluid.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like it wasn't no real filler in it. I mean, I guess maybe you could argue some spots, but I think all of it was pretty. The story kept going the way it should. Like they from introducing him to slowly making you realize he wasn't actually there, even though you probably could know that from the beginning. Then him getting SpongeBob into, so I think I'm gonna give the story a 2. I'm gonna give the story a 2 as well. I think what's next? The enjoyability. I thought this was a really enjoyable episode. Like I said earlier, I'm not gonna go into too much under that because you can't really say much more than I enjoyed it. I thought some of the moments was funny. I wouldn't say everything was super super funny, but it was nice and fun. So even if it was a little bit insanity, but I like it because of the insanity. So I'll give that a 2 as well. And the production, I really liked the music, and I thought Cuddle E Hugs was designed very well and everything. So I think I'm gonna give it a nice 1.5. Nothing too extreme. So I guess 7.5.
All right. Now let me ask you this before we get up out of here. Would you want to give Mr. Cuddle E Hugs a hug?
Is he gonna eat me?
I don't know.
And by eat me, I mean toss my salad.
Oh my God, man! I think kids watch these reviews, bro. Come on, man.
Listen, by now they turned it off because they thought it was gonna be the episode. So.
Yeah, right. You're right. But listen, I give him a hug, man. It's a giant ass hamster. You can't go wrong, man. Feel his fuzz. Anyway, man, y'all know what it is. This has been a review from SpongeBob SquarePants, episode from season 11 called Cuddle E Hugs. This is the cartoon kid, Ray Rawlins. I give it a nice 7 out of 10. He's Alex Payne. He gives it a nice 7.5 out of 10, man. Y'all know what it is. This is the Cartoon Kid channel where we talk cartoons and we do it daily, baby. If you like this episode, man, you want to tell us your thoughts and opinions on it, toss it down in the comments box below. If you have any suggestions how we can improve this channel, man, Or if you want to review other cartoons that you want us to review, toss it all down there in the comments box below, man. Until then, we will see you when we see you. Peace out, everybody.